If you are new to mixing or you've been mixing for a while and you just can't seem to cross over that hurdle to getting great sounding mixes consistently, this video is for you. There's a well-known secret to great sounding mixes, but the pro mix engineers for some reason don't talk about it. We're going to talk about it today. And at the end of this video, I've got a simple test you can use to make sure you're on the right track. If we haven't met yet, my name is Joe Gilder. I've been running this channel, Home Studio Corner, since 2009. I've been making music in a home studio for over half my life, and I sometimes forget to come back to the basics. I like to talk about something new and exciting and kind of tweaky, but it's important for you and I to regularly come back to the basics, especially if maybe you're new to audio, new to mixing, new to me. We got to make sure we're covering the basics regularly. And here is the basic principle that will save you hours of frustration and will help you get better mixes faster than anything else you'll ever try. The key to a great sounding mix is starting with great sounding tracks. We have this tendency in the culture at large, but in this little audio world, to do a bit of hero worship. The person who mixed your favorite album, for a lot of people, they'll say, oh, that person mixed it, that's why it sounds so good. Nah, maybe not. Perhaps the tracks were amazing, and just about anyone could have mixed it, and it would have still been amazing. I'm not discrediting the skill of professional mix engineers. I'm not saying that it's not necessary to learn how to mix, but I am saying that sometimes we tend to ask the wrong questions. Here's an example. Years ago, I watched a video from a famous mix engineer showing some sort of mixing trick and did a bunch of things on a plugin, and then he did the thing where he bypassed the plugin and then he turned it back on so we could hear what it was doing to the raw track and how it was improving the raw track. To be fair, whatever he did to the track worked, sounded good, it did make it better. But the thing I walked away noticing was that the raw track already sounded good. It already sounded mostly mixed. I remember thinking, well, yeah, of course that whatever you did on the plugin sounded good. You were starting with raw sounding tracks, which leads you to ask the following question. That's all well and good, but can you show me how to make my crappy tracks sound better? If that's the question that you ask when looking at that data of here's how he made this vocal mix sound great. If your next question is, yeah, but my raw vocals sound terrible, so show me how to make those sound better, you are asking the wrong question. You will never find an answer to that question because the key to having a great mix is starting with great tracks. Now, talking about great tracks, there's two hats that we wear when recording tracks. The first is the recording engineer hat. This is the hat that says, I got to make this recording sound good. I got to put the microphone in the right place such that the recording sounds fantastic. The second hat is the one that a lot of people ignore. That's the producer hat. It's not only how do we make this single recording sound good, it's what do we record to make this song sound good? What parts do we record? What instruments do we record? How many of them do we record? And what parts do they play when we record them? I've created a free one-page guide, kind of a cheat sheet, to help you answer some of those questions. So when you're sitting in your studio and you've got, let's say, a guitar vocal and you're thinking, what do I do next? This guide will give you some questions to ask yourself to answer that question so that you can go and do the next track and the next track, and next thing you know, you've got this beautifully produced song that's not just a snooze fest from start to finish. You can have this guide for free. This is the ultimate recording checklist. Just go to homestudiocorner.com/checklist to download your free copy. So if asking the question, how do I make my crappy track sound better using mixing, if that's the wrong question, then what is a better question to ask? Simply this. How can I record this song in such a way that when I listen to the raw tracks, it already sounds amazing? My goal when I record a song is to make it sound like a mix before I ever start mixing it. Do I ever achieve that goal? No, I don't. It's this ideal that I aim for, but there's always something that I've got to do in the mix. There's always some EQ to use, some compression to use. There's things like that. I'm never going to actually achieve that goal, but as long as that's my aim while I'm recording, that means when I record a guitar part, that when I listen back, I think, oh, that sounds terrible. I do not then say, well, I can just fix that in the mix. Instead, I say, delete it. Let's record it again. Seem harsh? Yeah, but I've been there. That's why I feel so, I'm like, I've got fists right now. I feel so passionately about this because I've had sessions where I recorded, literally one session comes to mind. I spent an entire day recording acoustic guitars for a full album. I cranked through 10 songs of acoustic guitar, multiple tracks per song. I was exhausted by the end of the day. I didn't want to listen to guitar anymore because it was such a long day. And this was years and years and years ago when I was new to recording. And I came back a week or two later, fired up the session, listened back to the tracks, and my heart fell because the tracks were crappy. As it turns out, in my haste to record a bajillion tracks in a day, I hadn't done a good job of setting up the mics in the best position. I had 2 microphones. I was wanting to do stereo miking. I placed them kind of like this right in front of the guitar, and they were literally this far from the guitar. So on my crappy little set of headphones, it sounded okay. Didn't sound obviously bad, and so I said, well, that sounds great. Let's record. And I proceeded to record for the rest of the day. Guess what? Here's what I should have done. I should have said, I wasted a whole day. That makes me want to say things. That makes me angry. But I'm going to re-record those. I'm going to take the time to find the right microphone position for this guitar in this room for these songs. And then, and only then, when I know that I've got a great tone, then I'm going to record. Instead, what I did was say, it's not that bad. We can fix it in the mix. You can't. You can't. You can improve it. You can polish the turd a little bit, but you can't take crappy tracks and make them sound amazing. It's just not possible. Now, am I saying everything has to be perfect? No. I love the imperfections in music. Every album, every EP, every single that I've released, I can list off all the things that are wrong with it because it's never going to be perfect. But I'm aiming for perfection in the sense of I want to make it sound as good as possible before I get into the mix phase. Because guess what happens then? Suddenly mixing becomes easy. I'm no longer fighting the mix. I'm just helping it along. I just do a few things here, a few things there, and then, bam, we've got ourselves a good mix. Versus the old way, which was record things crappily, then spend a really long time trying to make it sound better for the end result to just be okay at best. That's not what I want for my music. I've been there. It sucks. It's not what I want for your music either. This is why you'll see me use this dumb acronym over and over and over again. I bet you'll see it in the comments on this video. It stands for Get It Right at the Source. Dumb acronym, life-changing philosophy. If you will apply this to your next song, you will be emailing me a month from now saying, holy crap, it worked. You were right. I'm not saying I invented this. I didn't come up with the phrase, although some people think I did, which I think is funny. It's just a concept that isn't intuitive at first. You think, okay, I just got to record something, then I can use all the fancy software to make it amazing. No. Nope, doesn't work. Sadly, doesn't work. This works. This makes the front end more difficult and frustrating, but it makes the back end infinitely better. And it's worth your time. Because what happens next is you start to ask better questions. Instead of asking, who mixed that? It sounds amazing. You'll instantly go to, who produced that? Who recorded that? Who is that artist? Because that song is amazing. If the song is amazing, and then the tracks are amazing, and the production is amazing, as long as the mix engineer doesn't screw anything up, you're on your way to an amazing sounding record. All right, that's it for today. What are your war stories? Do you have any terrible stories of how you spent a long time recording something only to determine it sounded terrible in the end? We've all been there. There's no judgment. It's kind of a rite of passage, but I'm hoping to help you avoid some of that in the future. Leave a comment below and let us know. Also, if you liked this video and you love mixing, don't get me wrong. I love mixing. Mixing is one of my favorite things to do if the tracks are already great. Once the tracks are great, we still have a lot of tools and techniques that we use in the mix to make them sound even better. And I've actually created a video talking about my 19 best mixing tips that I wish I knew a long time ago. You can watch that video here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.